Welcome everybody. So today in this video what we're going to be going through is bringing in Calendly calls into a CRM we're building in Airtable. This is going to be for contacts and it's going to be for companies and CRM activities are these Calendly calls. So we got Mocha here helping us out. If you just watched the last video, we just got done building out those tables so that we can properly ingest the data into Airtable. And today we're going to be actually building out the make scenario to bring those in, hopefully cross your fingers, cheaper than Zapier. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Ben Green. I'm the owner of Optimize.is. We help businesses, mainly service-based businesses, build out these kind of systems and solutions all the time to increase your throughput and to increase the potential revenue that you can hit in any given month, quarter. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this make scenario. So the number one thing that I always do before jumping into the make scenario is making sure that this is mapped out properly. So I'm going to open up this dashboard right here, and we should have an automation that I'll go find right now already mapped out. Alright, so this beautiful blue automation right here will actually look very similar to how it will look in Make, but this right here is what we will be creating. So this is important to just think about what errors you might have, think about ways to mitigate errors. These are the things that we're going to be doing in order to hopefully make this work every single time. So we're going to have a Calendly invitee created. That's going to be the trigger in Calendly. Then we're going to go, these actually I may change now that I look at it. So not 100% sold on this one. We're going to add it up here for now. We're going to have our new Calendly invitee. It's going to go find or create a contact. Then it's going to log in the CRM a activity. So this should be an activity with our new language. And it's going to be a new Calendly booking. From there, it's going to then go into ConvertKit and all of this other stuff with Stripe. For now, I'm not even going to worry about that stuff. I just want to get these things right here taken care of. That way I can use this system and I don't have to re-import Calendly calls, because this is literally 10 minutes after I ended the last video. We're doing this one now. So we got to get this up and running. Usually I would actually wait to import the data till after I do this Calendly call automation, but for the sake of the videos, we're doing it in this order. So now we're going to open up Make and we're going to start this off. So you can tell how little I actually use Make, because currently I use everything in Zapier. I have a fairly nice Zapier plan, but I don't spend enough time in Make. It's cheaper for clients. From what I've heard, people say it's better. I think there's more of a learning curve with it, so we're going to be exploring. I've built many scenarios for different clients in Make. I can't really show their scenarios, but maybe someday some client will let me. So we're going to go build a new scenario. So these were a few things I've tried in the past just in my own, but we are going to go create a new one right here. So this new scenario is going to be Calendly calls, take them into Airtable. So to start off, for minus, and you hit this plus button, we will search for Calendly. With Calendly, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be watching the events. And allegedly, from what I was reading in the documentation before this should trigger instantly. That means instantly when somebody books a call, it should instantly fire this automation, and we should instantly receive the output of this pretty much in Airtable as long as we don't add any delays. So that's what's going to happen, and I may call on an expert, probably named Scott, to help me out with one part of this in the future to make this a little bit more advanced, to handle multiple event invitees in Airtable, to make sure they're all in Airtable. But for now, we're just going to say watch events. With this, we should be able to click add here and add a connection. So this is going to be the Optimize connection. That's going to open this up. us to connect to Calendly. Sweet. So now we're set up. You should be able to follow those same steps. I'm already logged into Calendly. That's the only caveat. I also have a paid Calendly plan, which I believe you will need for this, because then and only then does it connect with the API through these other services. So our thing is going to be invitee created specifically for this one. And I think I should be able to leave some of these empty, other ones not. Sweet. And I'm actually going to see if I can just leave that empty. Sweet. The reason being is because if I had somebody else on my Calendly, I don't want to have to add multiple automations. So the more things I can leave blank there, the better. All right. So that is a Calendly call. I'm going to go real quick, book a Calendly call. That way we have an event to use. Okay, so I moved my schedule an event, moved my picture up, and I hit run once. And hopefully this has the right information in it. So it has my email. That looks promising. Questions and answers. It has one. That's perfect. I was answering like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Sweet. So this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And you can see it came in here, brought my name, brought my email, and brought a lot of other information. So much of this is empty. That's fine with me. So now what we should be able to do is we should be able to add another module, and this should pretty much follow exactly what we had mapped out here. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to go find or create a contact. Now, previously what I would have done is instantly here I would have added a filter, and I would have said this Zap is only going to be for audit calls. But because I'm not mapping like specific values from the questions into a contact currently, I'm going to take care of that in Airtable. I'm just going to let every single calendar call that gets booked flow in like this. So now I'm going to add another module, which is going to be Airtable. Airtable, what I want to do is I want to create new or updates an existing record. I want to, I suppose this one would be the best one to use, because I want to basically find or create an Airtable record. So I'm going to choose my base. It's that one we've been working on. In Airtable, it's going to be called optimized. So I can click on this. Whoops. Copy this, and we'll go back into that and choose it. All right, so I chose the wrong one. It's going to be called optimized. So upsert a record, we want to upsert a record in contacts. The record ID, so if an existing record ID is filled, the record will be updated with inserted data. So I do not have an existing record ID, unfortunately. So in this case, I do not have one, which means I want to change this from upsert a record to find a record in Airtable. And I just need to make sure that if I don't find a record, it still continues through to the next module. So I believe what I can do is I can somehow unsync this. So we'll add another one first, which will be search for a record. Sweet. That was actually fairly easy. So first we are going to search for an Airtable record using my Airtable connection. It's going to search in optimized. It's going to search in the table contacts. I could specify a sort, a view, a field, or a formula. So currently I would choose formula. Alright, so I may have briefly forgotten how to use these Airtable formulas in Make. I now remember. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a formula down here, And you can use this Airtable formula reference, which is referenced right here on Airtable's website, if you want to write these formulas. I used to think there might have been a different way to do this that was easier, but this appears to be the best way of doing it now. So we will go with this. What this is going to do is we're going to write in a formula, basically how it would look in Airtable. So I want in Airtable, if I bring that back up, I want to search the contacts table based on this email. And sorry if you can hear Mocha in the background, but basically I want to add a field to the right here. It's going to be a formula field. The reason why is because occasionally I'll get somebody who types in an email like, let's see, and somehow it might end up in my system where it's like that. And in order to search this perfectly, it needs to match perfectly. It needs to match. So trailing spaces and uppercase, I usually try to add one field that steers us clear of those. And I use this in other automations like in Zapier or any other tool. So this email I usually call a clean email. And this is going to be a formula. It's going to do two things. It's going to use the trim formula, and it's going to use the lower formula. So what lower does is it makes everything lowercase. Trim takes out those leading and trailing spaces. So in that case, and you just put the field you want to reference in the middle. So now you can see it takes ben@optimizeis.com. We could add a ton of spaces at the beginning and it cleans it right up. So that's how that formula works. Now back in Make. Here, we're going to write a similar formula. We're going to put a quote because Airtable needs to consider this text. And then an equal sign, and then our email field, which was dev clean email. For this, I don't know why I would need more than one, because I should have a pretty clean CRM. So I'm just going to leave that. We'll leave it as 10. If I want to go back, I might change that to 1. So now I'm going to come run this module only. I'm going to use ben@optimizeis.com. Click OK. And we'll see this found one record. Here's the record. And that's perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to upsert a record. So here I want to insert the record ID from that Airtable step, and then I want to include all the other information as well. So this should allow us to pull, in theory, from any step prior. We'll see how exactly that works. Alright, so I guess there's something with the order. It was not in the right order. So we have new Calendly event, then search for the Airtable record. I also just found out you could press the search button right here and do it right here as well if you don't have the record ID. Here we should have the record ID, and we can pull it from what was labeled as step 3. This one is what's labeled as step 3 right here. We're going to pull in some other things if we need to create this right here. So we're going to have a first name, which is Ben. I'm going to click in here, last name, which is going to be Green. And then email, which is going to be the email right here. For now, we should also be able to pull in the full name, I guess, name. And I think phone also comes in. Perfect. LinkedIn URL, all the rest of this does not matter as much for me right now. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm actually going to jump back into this, and we're going to click the search thing. So show records using this field. So I'll say name. And I'm going to add this same search format. So this step now may be redundant. We are going to keep it nonetheless for now, till I can prove myself wrong that we don't need it. Oh. Never mind. We will just leave it. What it looks like, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Doesn't look like we can pull things from previous steps into this. Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't look like you can in that search. So now we'll run this module only. Just kidding. Because I don't want to fill all this in. We'll just test it at the end. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new record right here. This is where we're going to create a record in the activities table. So in Optimize, we're going to go to the activities table. Now for contacts on this activity, we should be able to add an item. We should be able to map in the record ID from search, or actually from upsert. Because if search was empty, then hopefully it should continue to upsert. So we'll pull in the record ID right here from step 4. Now all of this, we're going to have a ton of stuff from Calendly. So we're going to be able to pull in all of our tracking, which is closer to the end. So we have campaign, source, medium, term, content. This is a good meme, Salesforce, because we will not be using that. Other things we'll pull in is the user email. Now I'm not sure if that's supposed to be my email. I think guest email would be the email here. And it looks like this is pulling significantly less fields than Zapier was, which is interesting. It's fine, but it is interesting. Because Zapier, I believe it used to pull like who it was booked with, which would be me. In this case, maybe it's because it's booked with me. I'm just not seeing something clearly. But Zapier, it seemed, pulled many more fields than this. Now, it'll also be interesting to see how the question and answers get mapped in, because those are not pulling in intuitively. Alright, we're going to see if this works. So I included a iterator in here where we're going to see if by iterating through the questions and answers, it gives it to us individually. So I'm going to go fill it out again. Alright, so I'm hitting schedule event now. That iterated through it, and then it created 5 records, which we did not want. Not quite. So now I'm curious if I come in here and map question 1. From this, it still gives it to us like that. So now, in theory, maybe I could add an array aggregator. From the iterator. And we'll try that again. Alright, so I have trouble believing that there's not a better way to do this in Make, because I don't understand how people waste all their time doing this. We are going to waste our time doing it today, because I believe what I've been told is this is the only way to do it, is you essentially have to code things in here. So you have to use things like these formulas basically. So it's going to say get map, and then it's going to pull our questions and answers. And in this case, we want the response 1. So we should be able to put this, and I guess this is going to show us exactly how these work. So map, arrays, and keys. So one thing in questions and answers is there was the position. So it's from position 1. And let's see. All right, so I think I forgot the word answer. And then it's position and then 1. And then I guess just for fun, we'll put in a 1 there as well. Yeah. So we'll see if this works, because we will hit OK. And just to see if it works, we will also put this in response 2, except we'll try putting position 2 and in response 3 to try it out. All right, so now I'm going to go book another call, and we're going to see by turning this on if it works. All right, so to see if it works, we're going to add one more thing in here, which is going to be another filter. So I'm basically just going to filter if this ID is after a certain point to include the records that I've been creating. All right, so here you can see earlier I accidentally mapped in like 5 of these. I see I have a few contacts with the same, potentially the same email. Some of those might just be errors from earlier. Now let's go over and see if anything, nothing got pulled in here. That is just fantastic. All right, so allegedly what the answer was I had this as uppercase instead of lowercase. So position is supposed to be lowercase. And let's see. So now we want to do these same things, but for all of these. So question 1 will be question. This one will be question. We'll map in each of these custom fields like this. I have to imagine there would be a better way, because this is not very enjoyable to do it this way. Please somebody correct me for being wrong here, and that I'm doing it a much more difficult way than it needs to be done. Alright, so it looks like we have up to question 7, so that must be the most I've ever done, which is fine. We'll just do up to 7. If I want to do more in the future, I suppose I can make more. Hopefully by then we've come up with a better way. This is already showing the growing pains of not using Zapier. Allegedly, it's probably more technically advanced and you can do more cool things with this. It also comes at a cost, definitely. So let's scroll back up here and see what other things we can map in. So we have a time zone. time zone will be pulled right from here. Let's see, we have a few other things, I'm sure. We have the event created time. Time zone, let's see. I'm not sure if we need it in here, but there are reschedule links. So here's a cancel URL and a reschedule URL. Hindsight, those would actually be useful to bring into Airtable. So what I'm going to go do is add them into here. So this will be cancel URL and reschedule URL. One thing I remember always doing with make is often hitting the save button. I'm also still surprised I don't have a start and an end time, or it wasn't obvious what time my event was at. You would think that would be one of the things that would be glaringly obvious in the output of this, was when is the event? Unless could that be one of the questions? There's no way. We can, however, input those fields that I just added, which I suppose I can come up here and refresh the table and input my cancel URL and my reschedule URL. All right, so let's add a Calendly step in between to see if we use get event. Let's see. So we'll try get event in here first. We're going to go get an event and see if it gives us more information about this. So here's our event URL. It would be great to just copy this. So here's our event URL. We'll see what this gives us. So here's a start time. Here's an end time. See, this is progress. We have a few more pieces of information. This is awesome. So Zapier makes it easy for us. We just get all this in one. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And make, we have to do it using 2 steps. So you watch event, then you have to go get the event, because not all the information is included when you just watch for events. You then have to go get the event. So this is another thing I haven't fully grasped yet, is this should follow this logical path right here. And maybe we can try running this. This is step 5, but it is after step 9. So I always have trouble pulling in anything that has a number afterwards. So I don't know if like I unlink this and then relink it. It always has a lesser number. All right, so solution, with the solution, we'll see if this is a solution. But if we just clone this, it appears, well, let's double check that it actually cloned everything. So it did clone everything, and now we can use stuff from get event. Again, that may not be the right way of doing it, but if it fits, it ships for a low flat rate. So we can say from this get event, now we can pull other information like the start time. We can pull the end time, which was near the top. And do we want to pull anything else? Let's see. So do we need the name of the event? Was that not previously pulled either? That's kind of ridiculous. Oh, wow. They really don't give us anything in that first one. I was running blind. So what that one means, also, I guess we want to add a few things like type is going to be Calendly call. Call is going to be one-off. So type will be Calendly. Call type will be one-off. The other thing we had in here was we got that. We wanted the event type name to be in here. So here we can pull in this name. And I think after that, other than maybe the location, we can add this URL. That should be everything. Because I really don't care to pull in the guest information since I already pulled the email. One thing I could test out is, I've only been testing this where it's been with both mine, like my emails. I'll test it here in a second live using a different email. But this should be good to hit save. And we can test this out. So I'm going to go over to Airtable. And we're going to test this out by looking up. So right click on a linked record, add a lookup field for the email. And we'll see what email this uses. So I'm going to pause it and go book the Calendly call. All right, we are ready. I just hit schedule call. Now here, cross your fingers. Fairly soon you should see 1669 come in here. If it didn't all get ruined. Did I map that thing in Make to that new step that we added? I do not know. All right, supposedly we did. And just to confirm, you can hit the space bar and we can see all activity. This was created 11 minutes ago, so nothing's been created yet. So I'm not 100% crazy. All right, let's go back to Make. We should be able to hit, I don't know if there's an easier way to get to scenario history. I know we can go out here. Okay. Maybe that was it. Maybe we just needed to process the existing. So it actually, maybe it thinks there's something wrong. There's probably a glaring issue somewhere. So let's edit this. See if we can figure out where the issue is. Okay. So the issue appears to be is these questions need to be text fields. And while we're at it, I'll make it long text so it looks like all the other ones. Same with this text, needs to be long text. Same with this one, the longest text. Same with these ones. So you may have that same issue Just need to make all of this long text. So that was this error right here, as it said we needed to create this new select option. That is no more. All right, now let's turn it on, process existing, jump back into Airtable. Still nothing, still stuck on 1668. We only need one more. Okay, so it also can't create American New York, so that's the issue now. We are making progress. So here, we should just switch this to a single line text. And then go back here. All right. Success. So let's see if it didn't bring in anything. So it found the existing contact with my email. It labeled this, correctly labeled this. All right. We are cooking with oil here. So now I'm going to go try one more thing. And I am going to go book a call with somebody else's email. That is not my email. It's actually just going to be one of my other emails, but not this email. So this email should not exist in the database. And we'll see. This is on, so I shouldn't have to really mess with make at all. But I'm just going to book this using a different email. All right, scheduling the event now, and we should see a new contact coming in if there's no errors. All right, we must have had an error, or else it should have came in here by now. So let's see, open make back up. So it said it had success. I imagine maybe this is going to let us. I think this was too long ago. So this would be 2 minutes ago. Let's see. Okay, so this is the wrong one. So I'm going to try this again. We're going to refresh this, see if it triggers anything. Is this thing not on? Maybe it's not on. Goodness. So something was not on. Okay. There we go. All right, so now it's on. I would love for this to work without me having to mess with it being off or on. So it is now on. I'm not going to mess with it. We're just going to go back to Airtable. I'm going to use my email from when I was 13, and we're going to book it. All right, scheduling the event. Cross your fingers. This should just flow right. There it is, instantly. Amazing. That's what we've been hoping for the entire time. So now, after 39 minutes of recording this, we have successfully brought these in here. And this should work without fail until I add question number 8 and want to see it in Airtable. This should work perfectly. So I'm very thrilled and happy and excited with this result. just to go double check what do these contacts look like. Perfect. Incredible. So I think for companies with these Calendly calls, I want to handle them just a little bit separately in Airtable, because it's going to be a little bit more complex depending on their domain, how that ends up working out. So I think I'm going to deal with that separately, as well as linking contacts to activities. So that'll be in another video. Now I can go to sleep tonight, because this will now bring in contacts and Calendly calls to the CRM. So thank you for watching. The next video will be right here in the end screen, where we should be tackling toggle integrations with my time tracking tool Toggle and this Airtable optimized CRM. So glad that wasn't too painless, and we'll see how painless Toggle is. Thank you. Click that end screen video. Go check out the Toggle integration.